What does it mean to say, I am? Is consciousness an accident of biology? Or is it the fabric of the universe? On Spinning the Light, we bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern inquiry. We're stripping away the illusions of the ego to find the radiant core of human existence. Join us, your hosts, Christy and Sharon, as we unravel the mysteries of the mind and illuminate the true nature of being. This is Spinning the Light.
Hello.
Welcome back to Spinning the Light podcast.
Hope all of you are well. So we're going to jump right into this topic.
We are. We wanted to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs, the scarcity mindset of our society.
And the creation of it and where that leads us if we don't learn to change the way we think and interact with others.
Yes, because it impacts us all. The scarcity mindset is a belief system that has been cultivated within our society. This limiting perspective leads many to think that in order to succeed, one must outcompete or even step on others. The idea is deeply embedded in various aspects of our culture, reinforcing the belief that resources are limited and that there simply is not enough to go around for everyone. As a result, some people are left without, and this has become an accepted narrative. At its core, the scarcity mindset shapes how individuals and groups interact, often fueling competition, fear, and distrust. People operating from this mindset may view opportunities, wealth, and even kindness as finite commodities. This belief can manifest in workplaces where employees compete rather than collaborate, or in communities where neighbors may be reluctant to share or support each other out of fear that they will lose out. Such thinking can also influence policies and social structures, perpetuating inequality and exclusion as those in power seek to protect their own interests. And I think we see this a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we see it at all different kinds of arenas. And we teach it even from the time when you are in schools and you see some of that, you'll see that thing of competitiveness and things like that. And I think that we're missing the point of collaboration and that resources are limited because if this group takes all the resources, does it become limited for the other group? Absolutely. So it's how do we stop doing that? How do we understand, share the resources? This is a thing where everybody has the ability to live in prosperity in that, but we don't because we are taught socially, the social constructs are this other narrative.
Exactly. I mean, there's that lack of, and then the other thing that perpetuates that is this idea of keeping up with the Joneses. So there's that competitive thing to showcase what I have versus what someone else doesn't.
And I think, when we look historically, it used to look different. Communities actually were communities. And so when they were doing stuff, and I remember I grew up on a farm ranch, and if the neighbor needed the ditcher or something, theirs was broken away. You just went over and you did that, and then they would come over, and people were sharing. It wasn't like, oh my God, I can't do this for you because you'll get your crop in before me, or none of that. It was about the success of all of the farmers. I think stuff changed as time went on. You start seeing more of that competition, but the competition's not coming from that; it's coming from distribution. So there's all of these things that are impacting why we feel this competitiveness versus this collaboration.
Well, and I think sometimes we don't even identify it because it happens sort of subtly, I guess, in different ways. One of the things that we talked about, like, it's interesting, especially in the South, this was the case, but anywhere, I think, when you're going to a funeral, there used to be the thing of there was a meal after the services, but it did not fall entirely on the family to provide a catered thing to everyone attending. It used to be a potluck type of thing where everybody contributed. And not only that, not just for the meal after a service, but while there were so many people coming in from out of town or that for funerals or that kind of thing, that the family was in need of other resources even while those people were staying with them. So it was very common that your community would come together and have, hey, so now you don't have to prepare a meal for 10 people staying in your house while they're there. Or even whether it was taking, paper plates and those kinds of things. People did that kind of stuff.
And yeah, very much so. Growing up in our culture, very much the same thing. You would go, you would take food, you would money, whatever it was. And I think we have gotten away from some of that collaborative stuff, I think partly because of time.
Mhm.
We are people I think are so spread thin for time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got to schedule this. I got to schedule this. And even that in itself, we're acting like our time isn't valuable because everybody's asking for more.
Mhm.
So guess what? Our time is valuable. It's a commodity.
It is.
And it's like, well, if I get you to do this, you do this for me because it frees up my time, but I don't care about your time. Instead of maybe let's do it together and then we both get to have time. So that becomes that same thing of that competition or that thing of I have this and you don't have this.
But I think that we're also trying to live up to an expectation through that. I mean, yes, people are pressed for time a lot of times nowadays, and it's like maybe they don't have time to prepare something and take it to these people or whatever. And I think that us understanding a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I'll use the example for my mom. She had gone back to her home state. That's where she passed, and so we had a service for her there. She had been in the nursing home for some time, hadn't attended a church, so we didn't have a resource to go to say, "Hey, she was a member of this organization. Would you be willing to do the service for us?" or those kinds of things. So I ended up going through the funeral home. I'm not from that area, and I don't know the area very well, and I had to travel 21 hours to get there, so it wasn't like I could set up a meal or that kind of thing after. But it was okay, and I think people understood it. There was, this expectation I thought I had placed on myself that, oh, people are gonna be disappointed or whatever. But sometimes we have to release ourselves from those ideas that we think, are are so important.
I agree because I do everything in the moment. I'm going to tell you, where my office is located, where our studio is located, there are other businesses here. And so once again, it's collaboration, it's not competition. They are having some type of little fair thing here. So it's really interesting. I went and talked to them and their thing was, oh my goodness, okay, we're going to move the traffic from one side to the other side. We have no problem with that. It's collaborative. It wasn't, well, this is my day. None of that stuff goes on here. And that is one of the things I am truly grateful for this location that we have. People here are about courtesy. They're about taking care of each other.
Yeah.
And you can get in those situations, and I have been in the past with businesses where they'll be there like, well, you just need to change your activity because I'm doing this. And then it turns into this little infighting and crap that it doesn't have to be. Might it be inconvenient? Maybe, but who cares? Life is happening. And I think even with that, to understand that life is happening to everybody, like kind of like you said, we're all in the same boat. It's called life.
Mhm.
And there's no different boat. It is all life. We are all living life.
Mhm.
But instead of helping to make it better for everybody, we have some of these social constructs that it's me against you. And they want to keep these social constructs because in the end, they're winning and we're losing. And what I mean by that is who's gaining from it? I always tell people, who's gaining from you being this way? When you're in a work situation and they're creating these, we call them enredos, infighting.
Yeah.
Who benefits from it? If you start to collaborate and you get a group of people who goes to management and says, we're not okay with this, you're now one voice becomes many voices.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about political. When they had the No Kings Day, one voice became a million voices.
Yeah.
That's collaboration. That's people saying we're aligning on this energy level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can be anything of those natures, but it's that thing of going from that mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
I'm in this alone. That becomes a scarcity. This is my battle alone. No, we do not have to battle things alone. We have the ability to connect with people to do those things.
Exactly. And that's why this is really important. The scarcity mindset not only affects material resources, it also impacts emotional and psychological well being. Constantly worrying about not having enough, whether it's money, time, or love, can lead to anxiety, stress, and a sense of isolation. It can make it difficult for people to celebrate other successes. And as they may feel threatened or diminished by comparison. Over time, the mindset becomes ingrained, shaping societal narratives about success, failure, and worthiness. It encourages the belief that those who have less are somehow less deserving or less capable, rather than acknowledging the broader systemic factors at play. This is having an impact on us, social, emotionally. So that's why it's important to take a look at it and identify it, recognize it, and realize the power that we have to move beyond it.
And I think when we identify somebody by a label, and we do labels because labels create separation.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when RFK made the comment about autistic people
Mm-hmm.
not having value. Parents of autistic kids that I see and autistic people that I see were very upset by this. Because what does that mean? I don't have value? As a human being, I don't have value? They have as much value as anybody else does. But once again, these narratives.
Yeah.
And did it create anxiety in these family members and stuff? Absolutely. Because now it's, if you're autistic, you're less than.
Yeah.
If you're homeless, you're less than.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I tell people? We have to remember something very, very important. We are all a paycheck or a circumstance away from either homelessness or mental illness. There are catalysts to these things.
Yeah.
And to realize that, but that lack of empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy is so important. If I can empathize with somebody, I am more apt to engage with them. I am more apt to be a collaborative, working collaboration with them.
Exactly.
That crap just blows my mind. And that is something I am deeply passionate about. And I don't understand how we lack empathy for people. If somebody is less fortunate than us, then how do we help them to be fortunate like us?
Exactly. And realizing that they can. Challenging the scarcity mindset requires a shift in perception, recognizing that abundance is possible when communities work together and support one another. By embracing generosity, collaboration, and empathy, society can begin to replace the narrative of competition with one of shared prosperity.
And I think that's what we're talking about. That thing of, if somebody feels like I'm not going to have enough food, and we live in a country where there should be none of that.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
We live in a world where there should not be hungry people.
exactly.
We live in a world where everybody should be able to be taken care of, that every human being should have value.
Mm-hmm.
But because we also live in a capitalist society, we have to understand that the people, because of that capitalist society, can only make money off of those who are less fortunate. So we pillage the people daily.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at that and we say, we're going to keep you from getting this, so you have to work harder for this. We have to start changing that narrative in our head. We have to start believing that I am worthy, I am deserving, I can live in abundance.
Yeah.
And it is changing that narrative from the narrative that's being dictated to us, that you are less than, you are a workhorse, you are this, you are that, you are somebody something, and start identifying with, first, I'm an individual with my own ideas, my own thoughts, and I deserve to be happy and I deserve to be loved. And then once I can master that or start the mastery of that, then everything starts to shift. I understand my connection to you and to everybody else. I understand the value of that human connection and that collaboration that we need to be doing.
Exactly. We start fostering that sense of belonging and the mutual equitable outcomes that can be achieved through that.
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't realize the power that we could have.
I go back to an episode that we did with Carissa, and she owns her own hair salon here. She wins a lot of awards. Just fabulous. She does our hair, and I think she does a fabulous job. But one day she's talking to one of the other people, and they're talking about hair color or something, and she goes, "Oh no, you do it this way," and she gives her the formula and everything. And her husband asked her, "Why would you do that? This is like your competition. Why would you give your secrets away?" And I loved her response. "I'm not in competition with them. Basically there is enough for everybody."
Exactly.
Isn't that a beautiful message?
Exactly. Yeah.
To understand that there's enough for everybody. We were just having this conversation with somebody who wants to start a podcast where they're like, "Yeah, we'll help you. We'll
Yeah.
give you all the resources.
Exactly.
We're not in competition with you. Everybody needs a different voice to resonate with them." Great. Love it.
And in order to cultivate this experience of abundance, it calls upon us to hold ourselves accountable for the judgments that we hold about people, those inner thoughts that we're having when we see someone who maybe doesn't have. What is the narrative that's going on in our mind about that person?
And we often will see that with people with some type of disability or homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
Homelessness, or people who are on SNAP or any of the, what they call the public service or whatever, which is stupid. We pay into that crap. But even in that, we have created this us versus them. Oh, look at, they're using SNAP, or food stamp, whatever. And well, how dare, I don't get to buy steak every week. Well, you know what? Buy it when you want it. But even in that, and I cannot tell you, when I did sociology, I do sociology too, but I was in sociology classes. Oh my God, people would make those comments. Why do they get to buy steak and I don't get to buy steak as a student? Well, honey, what are you spending your money on? You know that they get to have one meal. You get to eat certain foods all the time. So we would have these conversations. But just that thing of they should get a job. How do you know they don't have a job? We have people right now in the United States who work full time and don't make enough to survive.
Yeah.
So guess what? They are getting assistance. So we got to stop with those judgments.
Exactly.
We got to understand that we've all paid into this. Our government makes people believe that this is some kind of handout. These are not handouts, people. We have all paid into it. And you know what? I personally don't care if my handout provides food for a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Or a family or whoever it is.
Yeah. Get on the other side of things and take a look at it from a different angle, because that will tell you a lot. I mean, and like I said, it's about taking accountability for those judgments and saying, hey, where does this idea come from? I remember somebody that I know made a comment one time about seeing somebody in line paying with food stamps and had a cell phone in their hand. Well, I don't know how many people know that if you're applying for jobs in that, you got to be able to be contacted. Maybe that cell phone isn't the top end. Maybe it isn't. I mean,
It's paid by the month kind of.
you have no idea.
Somebody else may be paying for it.
Exactly.
But here we are. And I agree. In order to stop this narrative, we have to do that internal dialogue where we are asking ourselves, why am I judging that person?
Why is it any of my business?
Exactly. Why don't I just leave it alone?
Mm-hmm.
Then you start to realize, because you've been taught this.
Yeah.
And you've been taught this in order to keep us divided.
Yeah. And you'll feel that gut feeling when you get that. It's that judgment thing. It doesn't feel good.
We were driving down the road one day, and your mom was with us, and there was a homeless person. And I said to Christy, I said, "Do we have any cash?" And she goes, "Yeah, there's some in the thing." So I took out some cash, and when we got there, gave the money to the homeless person. And her mom goes, "Why would you give that person that money? They're probably just going to go buy alcohol or drugs or something." And I looked at her and I said, "Because the moment I gave the money to them, that's a gift." I said, "When you give somebody, you don't get to tell them how to spend their gift." I said, "This is crazy." I said, "And if that's what, if I don't care what they do with it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about, oh, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to dictate now what you're going to do." A gift is a gift. This is so fascinating to me. Parents start teaching their kids this early on. Kids get Christmas gifts, money. And so the kid had gotten the Christmas money, and the dad and the parents were in, and they were talking to me, and they were upset with the kid because the kid went and took his money and bought candy and then whatever toys he wanted. He spent the whole entire thing. Well, why would he do that? We told him that was not really good, and on and on. I said, "Well, wait a minute." I said, "His money, but you want to spend it." Kind of like our government. It's our money, but they want to tell us how to spend it. We don't like that shit, do we? But here we are teaching this. This is where this starts.
Mm-hmm.
This narrative starts with our children, where we sit there and they get a gift of money, and then we tell them how to spend it, how to save it, how to do it. No, it is theirs. You would be pissed off if you got a gift of $1,000 and the person who gifted to you said, "Oh, by the way, but you can only spend it on this, this, and this." Then keep your money. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We start teaching, and we have to have a conscious awareness to that, because the narrative for that child has already started.
Mm-hmm. And they learn, they soak it all in.
Yep.
Regardless of whether someone has ended up in a particular circumstance by choice or by chance, it is important to recognize that these narratives are not ours to construct or impose.
Exactly.
If we feel moved to help someone in need, that impulse should come from a genuine place within our heart. It's a reflection of our character and the kind of person that we're striving to be. Acts of kindness should be offered without any expectation of what the recipient will do to help themselves or how they'll use the assistance provided. Ultimately, these actions are an expression of our own energy signature, the mark we leave on the world as we move through it.
As when you're saying that, and I think to myself, when I see people who are on assistance and they buy the steak, I truly am very grateful that they have the opportunity to have a meal that is not ramen.
Yeah.
The opportunity to have something that is not overly processed, and that it is that meal that they get to share and they get to enjoy, that intensity of the flavors. I am truly grateful for that.
Yep.
And when we go to that place of gratitude and of understanding,
Gratitude changes everything.
it
I
really does.
I think about I used to I always used to hate going grocery shopping.
Oh, yes.
Ugh. I was like, this is such a chore and I just want it to be done. And I found that the way to shift my feeling around that was to go to a place of, I am so grateful that I have access to healthy food, wonderful, delicious food that I can enjoy in my home. It's just down the street. I'm so grateful that it's here, it's available, and it's available for all. And shifting to that thought process, it changed for me completely. I'm so grateful that I get to go and get what I need.
And we always talk that I'm so grateful for the women who work in our cheese department.
Yeah.
They've gotten to know us. We stop, we talk, we create a community within that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we go in the store now, it's like, oh, I wonder if they're going to be in today. Wonder what kind of cheese they have. Our produce, the people who check us out, being friendly. How are you today? All of those things create a community. And we're responsible for our part in that. That's that accountability. What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
There's a song that's out right now. It's one of my absolute favorites. It's called Mirror to Magic, and it's put out by Shift to Abundance. They are on Instagram. Would love for you to check them out. They have a lot of uplifting messages in their music. But the message of Mirror to Magic is my reality aligns to who I choose to be. It talks about what others teach us about ourselves, who we choose to be in each of those interactions. They're choices. They're choices, and it's how we show up in this world.
And I did the chat this morning. I do one every Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and
on Noon Vibe.
And today it was about, sorry, I got distracted. They were playing music next door. It was about choosing setting our tone, setting the tone. And that's what it is. How do I set that tone? How do I wake up and be in that place of gratitude, of being connected, of these are choices. How do I stop listening to the narrative? How do I ask myself that question? Who's benefiting from me being this way? And if the answer is not me, then it ain't working. Because if I'm benefiting, then other people will benefit. And I'm not talking about selfishness. I'm not talking about narcissism. I'm not talking about all that crap. I am talking at that level of, am I benefiting from this? Is it helping me on this journey to be a better version of who I am?
Yeah.
The answer is no. Reevaluate it. Start the different dialogue. When I see myself in the store and I start having that judgment about somebody who's on assistance, have gratitude that they get to feed their families. Have gratitude that it's not the same thing. They're not doing the ramen and the cup of soup. We have been there.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful for cup of soup because back then when we were going through a hard time, we didn't have a job, whatever, we would do cup of soup because it was 3 for $1.
Yeah.
I'm so eternally grateful for that. But the thing is I'm also grateful I don't have to eat cup of soup now.
Yeah.
I'm grateful it's there for the people who need it.
Exactly.
So we have to change our mindset.
Yeah.
We have to go to a place of love, of empathy, of compassion, and understanding that we are all in this same thing, and it is called life. We're all trying to navigate it. So let's help each other out. Let's spin the light. That's what this is about. Spinning that internal light in myself so I can share it with others who are struggling with theirs.
Sending that frequency out into the world for that ripple effect that it creates.
Yes.
Thank you for listening in to us today. And you can find us at spinningthelightpodcast.com.
We ask that you check it out and subscribe or whatever one does to it.
Subscribe to our website. You'll get an email every time we put on a new episode. And also you can follow us on social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And on YouTube, we are Worlds of Wonder. And it's, Worlds of Wonder, Spinning the Light. That is where our inner world meets the outer world. You'll see some of our travels and just interaction with people. That's our place where we connect.
Yes. And also another place to really develop community and stuff like that is on Noom Vibe, Noom Vibe. It's a really great place. It's an app. It's free. I'm on it. Like I said, I do a talk every Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m.
Called the chat.
Yes. And I pick different topics like this. They're all different kinds. It is live, so you can jump on live and have interaction and stuff like that. So it's really another good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've told you the really big importance of gratitude for us, if you haven't noticed. So we also put out the Grateful Beginnings coloring book collection, which you can find on Amazon under my name or Christy's name.
Yeah, kind of brings the conversation into the child's world. And it has a little story in the back of each coloring book that talks about the importance of gratitude and collecting gratitude statements to put in a jar. It's a cute little story. So check it out.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We're very grateful for each and every one of you. And
Look
will
forward
be
to the next
yeah,
time.
we'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.